Black men not going to college. Don't nobody need no degree in order to speak on this. All you need is common sense and some eyes. We went to school with these men. We know these men. Women and dated these men. These men are in our families. We know these men, right? And we also know the reasons why a lot of them didn't go to no college. And a lot of it, as a lot of people have already said, it starts at home, right? So while he was at home, wasn't nobody prioritizing him in college. Wasn't nobody talking to him about what schools he wanted to go to, what colleges he was looking at. If he wasn't into sports, college probably was never even coming up. The only thing that was coming up is you need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to make some money because when you turn 18, you getting up out my house. That's probably what he was constantly hearing the whole time. Then when he look around at the girls that he desire, they constantly talking about liking hood dudes, drug dealers, scammers, dudes who make fast money. They not talking about liking no college educated men. How many times have you got online and seen women make videos about how much they love college educated men? I bet you can find more videos of them talking about how they like drug dealers and scammers. I put money on that. So that's what they hearing and seeing. A bunch of girls who they want talking about they want dudes who do that street life. Right? So you at home and ain't nobody talking to you about going to no school, and then the girls that you want is glorifying street life. So guess what? College ain't nowhere to be found in that boy's head. If you talk to most of those boys, if they wasn't good at football or basketball and they wasn't going to college for playing sports, then the next thing up for them was all wanting to be rappers. They was somewhere on Fruity Loops and SoundCloud all thinking that they was going to be rappers. And if the rapper life didn't work out, it was going to be street life. But they wasn't worried about no college. When the colleges was coming to the schools, they wasn't concerned. They wasn't talking about what schools they wanted to go to. The only dudes who was concerned about what schools they wanted to go to was the dudes who was considered to be corny and lame. Those are the only dudes who cared. You know why? Because a lot of those dudes, quiet as it's kept, they couldn't compete athletic wise, looks wise, popularity wise. So they knew that they was gonna have to get money. So they kept their head in the books, went to college, ended up graduating, getting good paying jobs, and now they in better positions than the dudes who were athletes, popular, attractive in high school. They went on to become the better men, right?
Woo! Man, she cooked. She cooked, man. Wow. This is so crazy what she's saying because it definitely hit home. It definitely hits home. I I have something ingrained in my head, right? And it's a quote from my uncle, man. 1830. 1830. What that mean? This dude had been saying that since I was like 13 and 14. 1830. And y'all like, what the heck is 1830? When you turn 18, you got 30 days to get out. That was his mind state. 1830. When you turn 18, you got 30 days to get out. That was the environment I was raised in, right? And me in my community growing up, y'all, the only way it was out for you was sports, basketball, football. That was it. There was nothing else. If you was really, baseball was like hot in the 90s, kind of 2000 still. So if you was really good, then you had a potential, but it wasn't as easy to make it like basketball or football, right? Because when I was growing up, you can come out of high school going into the NBA, right? Football, you didn't have to really, as long as you, like a lot of the smaller schools, I'm not saying you didn't get people who got, pulled up from the smaller schools or whatever, but you seen a pathway. That's my point. You seen a pathway. And then when it came to baseball, we heard about major leagues, but minor leagues wasn't really known like that. It wasn't really spoke about. It was definitely around, but it wasn't spoken about. But I say all that to say, sports was really like pushed in the black community as far as, look, you want to make it out of poverty, you want to get your family raised up and, get out the streets, get out of the poor life. Hey, you got to make it in sports. And what wasn't realized was you think everybody making it. You know what I mean? You like, I'm doing good, I can make it. You in high school, like, I'm about to make it to the NFL. Not even thinking about you still got college to go through. You know what I mean? It's still like levels to it. But that was the mentality, right? And if you couldn't, like she said, if you couldn't make it in sports, then the other thing was the streets or rapping or something. And that was kind of like really the only options that was shown to black men. Like she said, man, them schools weren't coming in looking for little black boys. I'm sure they was there, right? But it wasn't like, hey, we speaking directly to the black kids. I ain't hear nothing about trades, none of that. Right? I had my grandfather used to build buildings like frameworks of the skyscrapers and stuff. That was like the only time I was even exposed to anything in trade. I didn't know anything about. I didn't have an electrician in my family I knew about. I didn't have a plumber, anybody doing HVAC, none of that. Most people in my family when I was growing up was like doing either retail, some type of medical assistant thing. I don't even know too many people was in the military. It was mostly like basic jobs. You know what I mean? So that wasn't in my household growing up. It wasn't really pushed. Again, it was known, right? But it wasn't really like, okay, man, this auntie I knew over here, she went to school, she became a lawyer, she became a doctor, she became this like a profession, right? A professional in our family. That wasn't. We never seen that. And so you had to get out of the mud, meaning in the sense of figuring your own way out. That's just what it was. And, shout out to my uncle. He got sick, too. That didn't help us. He got real sick. He almost died, right? Cancer almost took him out. And so that hurt the family even more because then you young boys really don't have no guidance. At least when you was there, it was like, hey, bro, let's try sports, right? We're going to push sports on behind y'all. We're going to pay for these baseball teams and pay for football sports and see what you got. You know what I mean? That was really it. So, yeah, man, that's just the reality of it, especially in the lower communities. Like, now it's probably even worse because now sports isn't really even I'm going to say it's not a big thing because there's still a lot of, kids playing sports, but for the majority, it's just lost in the sauce. Lost in the sauce out there, man. Because now they not even ambitious. At least back then, you was like, it was kind of the hustler, it was kind of hustle culture back then. At least you wanted to get a job and get some money in your pocket. You know what I mean? You didn't want to be broke, like, right? And she was saying like most of the guys was like, yo, I see these what the girls want, this what they like. Let me get me a job, at least try to flex. Let me get some money I can take to the movies, get me a whip. Cause back then most girls didn't really care. If you had a whip, you was up. It ain't really matter what kind of car it was back then. If you had a car, oh, you on, right? So. Right, that was one of the things. So now it's, man, you can't even just have a car. You gotta have and here you talking about high school, man. They want you to have foreign cars, like, Hellcats and stuff. And forget about a job. If you got a job, you're lame. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So yeah, it's way worse now. It's way worse. And then the boys who see that and are like, look, I don't even want to have nothing to do with it. They're like, I'm gonna stick to gaming. I'm gonna stick to quote unquote being a lame. And they don't even never even get in the hunt to even be with girls. They just checked out even before they were like, no, I don't even want to go. Girls are scary. I'm good. You can't even approach them, right? None of that. Oh, you a lame if you try to DM me. Like if I ain't got the jury, and you talking about in high school. They already started up. At least when I was coming up, it was like, man, if you had some polo, you was good. You didn't have to have designer, clothes and this and that. Man, you talking about these kids coming in with, I think right when I was leaving, that's when like Gucci belts and stuff started coming out. Right? $300 belts, Gucci belts. But most of the time it was like polos, Jabos, like $80, this and that. Jordans was still reasonable price. You can get Air Force Ones for $60 to $80 back then. Now they're like 100 and something. So, yeah, man, it's definitely different times. But she definitely hit the nail right on the head. Like, yeah, it's definitely different back then. So, man, listen, yeah, black boys still not going to college. I went to college, still, thank goodness. But yeah, that wasn't a plan. Trust and believe, it definitely went in the plans originally. So I don't know, man. I don't know what we're gonna do to fix it. Again, for me, that's why I at least want to create a community where we can speak to men and we can start to impact it on a positive level. But first, we got to fix ourselves as men, right? We can't save nobody else. We can't save nobody until we fix ourselves, right? Until we get the right mind state, the right mentality to understand our traumas. First and foremost, we got to clean up. We got to heal as men. That's the first step. And the second step, we got to start doing personal development. That don't mean you have to do all these careers. You got to develop yourself personally, right? Physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I think from there, then a process to start, because a lot of us are so far behind. And then again, I don't want to say it's impossible to catch up, because, you know, I don't have that type of mentality where that have limiting beliefs, right? That's why we got to build this community, because we need more men like me and other people who can have these type of conversations for stuff that actually work, not just theory. Like, hey, these are the actual steps we need to take. Before we talking about going and changing our community, we have to change ourselves first. We have to take accountability. We can't worry about what women doing. We have to, as men, first heal from our traumas and stuff. And this is just one of them, how even in our communities, that wasn't pushed. Again, it was around. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't around, but it wasn't pushed heavy at all. At all, it wasn't. So sports was, like she said, rapping, drug dealing, scamming, all that was pushed. And a lot of it, that's a whole nother conversation through the media, through rap and all that. So, but anyway, hey man, what y'all think? Drop a comment below. Subscribe to the Husband Code if it's your first time. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe. If you got any value from this video, hit the like button. Also, you know, hit the notification bell, because again, we're going to constantly keep dropping these videos. Until next time, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.